Hi there. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine with 30 minutes of my day. I'm doing a bit more work on the book, the medical book titled Fractures that I've been playing with here. I've got quite a bit of the inside worked on. You can see I have scraped away the edges of the old end papers. Hold on one second. So it's such old paper that it's usually best for me just to scrape it away from the edges. I'm not looking to pristinely restore this. I still want it to retain all of its wonderful character that it's earned over the years. So what I've done is, it probably looks strange to you right here, but if you recall, if you've watched the previous episodes, the top of this book was literally missing. You can see here, it had literally just worn away to nothing. And what I've done is I have lined it from the inside out with some pretty little fabric. Here, I'll show you. Where are you? There we are. Here. So it's just pretty little fabric. And it's a very, very similar shade. And the little flowers, I'm okay with little flowers showing through. And I think that turned out terrific looking. I'm not looking for this to look like a pristine restoration. I want this to look kind of Frankenstein-y, if you know what I mean. Those of you who know about Frankenstein paper or the story of Frankenstein, I want it to look, I want to see the old scars and how, it has been strengthened again. It hasn't been restored to perfection, but it's been made strong again. And that's certainly what I've done here. Now, I did make the decision. Let me move this away. It's a rainy, dark day here today, so I've got my overhead light going because I don't have a lot of natural light today. I did make the decision to go with this picture of Frida. The other one, it just wasn't sitting right with me. This one, it looked rich against the reds and her red dress. I love that she's got a look of concentration. The name of this is Thinking of Death. And you can see there's a Señor Muerte. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. On her mind. And she was certainly not afraid of death, this woman. But it was always on her mind because she came close to it so often in her life. It was, death was a reality to her. So I believe this is what this cover is going to look like. I'm so excited about it. I think it's gorgeous. And it will have some brass brads holding it through the, I do it right through the cover so that picture isn't going anywhere. And I picked some papers out of the Art Nouveau wrapping paper book I have, and I love them. And I think they really, really, hold on, I'm trying to reach her again. I put her away and I wasn't done with her. I think they really complement the greenery behind her here. I think those are going to look really pretty on the insides of the book. This is going to be mostly a writer's journal. It's going to be big. It's going to obviously be for someone who's got a lot on their mind. And I'm, of course, going to put a few little things in here and there. I have to sunny side it. But it's not going to be overly, I don't know, the pleasure I'm getting from journals lately is coming more from journals that have simplicity and character, and the wisdom that comes from the age of the journal. It's almost like they're crone journals, you know, when us ladies hit our crone years and gain are respected for the wisdom that we've gained over the years through our life experiences. It's almost like they're crone journals. So this is definitely a crone journal. Anyhow, so I'm getting started on signature paper selection. And I'm thinking I'm going to do 11 signatures. Obviously, these are big. I've made my template, so I will be trimming them down. And then, of course, I still use the offcuts. This is all just tea-dyed paper. So I'm not ready to cut yet because I am still choosing the extra papers to go in. And I found some fun ones. I do every once in a while want a pop of color in this book. I think Frida would approve. And I found a few interesting papers. Sometimes when an old book has really great end papers, I save them. And this is from an old book. I just loved these end papers, and the back is perfect for journaling on. So these will be going in. This is just an old leftover piece of scrapbooking paper, but it's going to go in. This is an illustration from a book I recently cut up on The Wizard of Oz. And this is Scraps, the patchwork girl of Oz. Her name's Scraps. And at first, I wondered about the quote there that says, "I hate dignity." But apparently she said, I'm paraphrasing, she said, "I know a lot of," what was it? "I know a lot of highfalutin people, and I know a lot of lower class people. They all claim to have dignity, and they don't seem to be very dignified." And so she basically said, "I don't like dignity. She just wants to be herself." And I kind of like that. So I'm going to use that. I cut up an old book that I took apart, an old book that I found at one of my thrifting excursions. Hold on, I just want to, it was a machine sewn signature on this, and I used some of it already. Just to, look at this. I had to have those circles. I just had to. So I'm going to trim that off, and but I'm going to put the rest of it in the book. And then I have the end papers here from obviously a bird book, because there's eggs, so that's going in. This is one of the end papers from one of my favorite books I have on gardening. It's from the 1940s, and I just love how haunting this end paper is. And then, of course, I've got a bunch of lined papers, legal papers, blank music papers, Sears Roebuck papers, and I want all these to go in as well. Oh, and guest book spreads. So I sort of have to start deciding what's going to go in here so that I can get these into my press and hopefully have a better idea of what I'm looking at as far as how thick I can go. So I'm going to do my pretty ones first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that means I could do every other, could have a pretty colorful one. All right, that's fine with me. Let me move these over. You know what? I should explain to you how I did, before I go any further, because I said that if I went ahead and did this spine, I'd explain to you how I did it. So what I did was I curved I measured the spine. I curved a piece of light cardstock. And then what I did, now of course I've lost that. There it is. Hold on. Then what I did, here we'll do a pretend one. So pretend this is brown, like this. What I did was I measured the whole thing, cut one out, and then because I still had this side of the cover and I still had the lower end and some cracked pieces of the cover, I knew I just needed to be able to almost slide a new fortified cloth covered piece into there and then just glue the daylights out of it all into place. So what I did was, this is the fabric I decided upon, and I cut about a 2-inch band, and then, so pretend that's a 2-inch band, and then what I did was I glued it like that on either side, so you can see it's like that. And I literally, and I did it to both ends, so the bottom, I just did a piece. I just don't want to have to cut up this nice piece to explain to you. So imagine that this is 2 inches wide. And then I folded it over. So I did both ends, and then I slid one end in, slid one end in, glued the whole thing down. So these are all, they're all glued in. And it's really, really, it's really strong now. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And I had decided, pre-decided, that if I did not like how it turned out, I was going to use some gold. I was going to use gilding wax to make gold some seam binding and glue that across the tops. A gold band of seam binding there and a gold band of seam binding there. So it just looked like 2 gold bands. I was going to do that if this didn't work out. But I'm really, I know it's weird, and I know some of you are probably going to look at that and go, that really looks hideous. I love it. I'm loving how this turned out. The inking around the edge with the distress ink has really given it, given the shading, the light and dark of the burgundy, just so much rich character. It's just, oh, really, really pleased. And then with Frida and her beautiful dress, and she's thinking seriously about things and contemplating and going, you know, inside her mind and thinking things, which is what we do with a journal. I can't think of a better thing to have on the cover of a journal. A crone journal. All right, so what I want to do with this is, I love this picture as is, and I don't want to have to put it sideways. So I'm going to trim this. This is the raw, the torn edge where it was glued in because it was an end paper. So I'm going to take that off and give it a fresh edge. And then I like this archway because this is from, like I said, my favorite gardening book. I like that archway, so I want the whole thing. So it looks like I only have to take this much off the bottom. I'm not going to make a pocket on this. I just like it the way it is. So that's the way it's going to be. And then I'll show you what I do when there's part of, I'm not ready to get rid of that. When there's part of a picture that I like, see, I like the angel on the column here. I'll do an off-center fold so that I get all of that angel. And then there's just a shorter side on the other side. And that just makes for nice variety in the book. Get you out of the way. So let's see. I wonder if I should just go for it and give it the full width. No, you know what? I do want, no, it's going to be a little off center there. I don't want it to come out the full. It can be a little bit shorter. I also like when pages are not all exactly the same size in a journal. I love when there's variety to the pages. So let me find. Now I'm going to just ever so gently put a little bit of a score on this. This is old paper. This is from the 1940s. It's tough. Otherwise I wouldn't be using it. I would be backing it onto something. So it's tough, but even the newest paper, sometimes you can run that right through your paper. So I'm erring on the side of caution here, especially because it's so pretty. I'd find another way to use it, but I want to be able to use it for what I want. So let's see if it will cooperate or if it is too fragile. If I have to, I will do some washi on the inside. That looks nice. Very happy with that. I think I want to round the corners. There we go. That looks nice. Love it. All right, that one's done. I think I'm going to do a similar thing with this one. You know what? I'm trying to think, and I'm pretty sure this came from that Aesop's Fables book that I had recently. So we'll take off the torn edge from where it got torn out of the book. Take that off. And then, because books open from right to left, most books, not all, but certainly my books open from right to left, I tend to want, if I'm going to have a really cool page that's going to have an off-center fold like this one does, I tend to want the bigger, more of a showcase page to be the one that faces you when you turn and you go, oh, wow, I want it to be on the right-hand side is what I do. Now, let's see how long this is. Okay. Now, you know what? This is, if I cut it to the exact length, I'm going to have this funny white line right there near the bottom. Do you see what I mean? So I'm actually going to cut it off right there so that I have perfect squares of the animals. So I shouldn't have put this away because I wasn't done. So I'm going to use that as my guide. There we go. Perfect. I don't know. We'll see. Not ready to get rid of it. Now I want my little, I want this again. Now this is wavy, so I can't get my heart set on putting a fold. A wavy fold isn't going to happen. Now how wide is that? So I think I want right there. That's what I want. Out of the way. Okay, so again, I am going to err on the side of just a very gentle scoring down here. You sort of will get a feel for it, whether it's going to just bash right through your paper and tear it down the score line. I spent the morning getting Stuart Little and getting the Country Banker ready to go off to their new homes. Thank you to the people who wanted those books. What a delight to put them in and have them head off to their new homes. Now, I'm not sure when this will be, when I'll get this up onto my website, but as of right now, Wind in the Willows is still there. So in case anyone was wondering, there, I'm going to do a little, I'm going to chomp these corners too. So yeah, so I'm getting 2 of them ready to go. For me, it's a couple days process because I always like to put together a little goodie envelope and send a journal off with a little starter envelope of things. And so usually the very next day I will put together a goodie envelope. And then I'll find the right size box and I'll shred some papers because I use shredded papers inside to keep them safe on their journey. So I'm going to cut these holes off and I guess I'll finish punching holes out of it. Oh, that's pretty. I can use that. That's obviously what I wanted, was those rainbows. I wonder if I used that in Mr. Rogers, because those are really nice, bright primary colors. Now, is this too wide? Hold on, that's really, really wide. This was a sort of a pre-made scrapbook that I found in a thrift store one day, and it was just full of really bright, pretty pages. And oh, that's a very good width. Well, I don't have to trim that at all. So I didn't have to do anything except cut it apart and use the pages as I wished. And I think that's the last one. And it's going to go into Frida. I'm pretty sure. As you know, I get the paper sorted and pressed, but then I still have one last go through and rearrange and that sort of thing. I just liked the soft gold colors in this. I may still take this downstairs and give it a light tea staining. I won't necessarily dye it, like I won't dip it into a pan of tea, but I have a spritzer bottle of tea and alcohol, and I can spray it on there, give it a quick wipe so that it doesn't completely penetrate the paper, and it actually will give it a very nice quick staining. It dries quite quickly because it's mostly alcohol, and it's a quick and easy way to take the stark white out of something in some papers in a book. So again, this was end papers, but that one edge is not nice. Yeah, I might do the same with this one. It's white as well. I just find when you've got a book full of beautifully tea-dyed papers and then you suddenly come across white, it's quite alarming. Now I might do the eggs sideways. They don't necessarily have to go north south. They can go east west. But the decision has to be made, because if I put a groove in it. Yes, it's going east west. And again, I'm going to do an off-center fold. This one I'm not so worried about. This paper is quite new. like using this little corner punch. I love this one. It takes sort of a little square chomp out of the ends. That's kind of, that's better. I shouldn't be chomping so quickly. That's better. There we go. All right, you're nice. Now, what to do with the patchwork, girl? Glass cat. I'm not sure. I'm hesitating on her. I'm going to put her aside and think about her for a while. Although, I know, I'm sorry. When I think about how she's all stitched back together, that's kind of the way Frida's whole life was. Mind you, I don't want this to become a Frida book. Frida's on the cover, but it's not necessarily a Frida book. This is going to be a commonplace book that happens to have a really awesome looking cover. So I don't want to get myself into the trap of it suddenly becoming a Frida book. It's not. So, this is why I love having myself a template, because I can get a better idea of how big pages are and whether they'll be okay on their own or not, or whether they need an off-center fold so that they look all right. Now, this side is kind of roughly, you can see where my clothes peg kind of dented it there, and the iron just didn't do it any justice, so I will be taking those holes off. And I will just trim those right off. Like that. There we go. Now, Sears can go on its side. I thought those ladies looked lovely. I've got a calendar here. I love these square holes in the calendar. I got some stenographer's papers from a steno pad, and when I tea dyed them, the blue lines washed away into the tea. The only line that left was the center line. But they still look cool. Oh, you can see a little bit of the blue lines there. Oh my goodness, 30 minutes is gone. That's incredible. All right, well, hold on, dismiss. You know what, I'm going to finish this and get it into my book press, and then the next time we get together, I'll show you what I chose. All right, take care, everyone. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're staying safe and healthy. We'll talk soon. Bye.